So I know I'm coming to you this week a couple days early, and we'll get into why in a couple minutes, but we didn't skimp on this episode. We have tons of content, and I think people that are new to the Hedera space will realize how diverse it really is. Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull, here once again to bring you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. But as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So to kick this off, I'm just going to explain why we're here a little bit early. Tomorrow, I'm going to be heading to the Rare Evo crypto conference in Las Vegas. It's a long story, but I'm going to be representing the Hedera ecosystem along with Joe from Earthlings and Fubar from Karate Combat. We're planning on having everything from an MMA impact cube, a long Hedera ecosystem reel featuring many of the builders in our space, the ability to play some of our games, and even a big screen TV giveaway. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but we might even have some off-site HBAR wine tastings. If you're at the event or any place in that area, I would love to meet up. So if you want to, drop a message down in the comments and we'll see what we can figure out. I'm leaving for the event tomorrow, and the conference takes place on Friday and Saturday, so I'm looking forward to that entire weekend. Now let's dive into an announcement that came out from the Hashgraph Group, who is a sister organization to the Hashgraph Association. They announced the launch of ID Trust, which simply enables individuals and institutions to securely issue and verify credentials. According to the press release, traditional identity systems are fragmented and rely on centralized authorities and intermediaries for credential issuance and verification. These outdated models introduce significant challenges, including siloed data, user tracking, high costs, security risks, and weak privacy guarantees. Self-sovereign identity transforms this model using decentralized identifiers, or DIDs, verifiable credentials, and secure digital identification wallets, enabling individuals and organizations to exchange trusted identity claims on a peer-to-peer basis without relying on centralized infrastructure. This approach, on the other hand, defines interoperable agents for issuing, verifying, and revoking credentials. And of course, Hedera is the ideal trust layer for decentralized identity registries in the digital economy due to its enterprise-grade performance, highest security standards, low predictable fees, carbon-negative footprint, and the overall technical maturity of the ecosystem. Stefan, the co-founder and CEO of the Hashgraph Group, said, "With prevailing concerns about digital identity fraud and misuse of user data, we believe this is a critical moment to launch a truly self-sovereign, privacy-first digital identity solution for the global market. By launching our Hedera-powered and agentic AI-enabled ID Trust platform on Swiss National Day, we align with Switzerland's leadership in digital trust, data protection, and innovation while supporting the furtherance of national and international initiatives to advance secure digital ID technology, infrastructure, and compliance." We've been saying that digital identity on Hedera was going to be big for a really long time, and this is certainly a move in the right direction. And talking about the Hashgraph Group and the Hashgraph Association, we have an update on the biggest hackathon that we've seen, at least I know of, across all of crypto that's taking place in Africa right now. So many of you might know that we have the biggest hackathon in Hedera history going on right now in Africa. And today we have Ishmael from DAR Blockchain, who's helping manage the hackathon, to give us some more information. Ishmael, thank you so much for hopping on today.
Thank you so much for hosting us, Brandon. We're really excited to make the biggest ever hackathon organized on Hedera, but not only on Hedera. This is one of the biggest ever organized hackathon in terms of prize pool, with $1 million committed in prize pool and $1 million committed in follow-on investment. So this is going to be huge, and we love it that Hedera is the one that's making this step forward.
Okay, did I hear you right? Because I knew it was $1 million hackathon. Are you saying there's $1 million prize pool and then there's additional investment that comes after?
100%. So projects that winners in the hackathon, not only winners, will receive follow-on investment. We will announce the full sum soon, but there will be grants, investments, and a lot of opportunities to not just give those startups like the prize pool to set up their companies and get working, but also to offer them more opportunities and more potential for them to succeed. We're giving them everything they need in terms of mentorship, investment, and probably a lot of other opportunities in the Hedera ecosystem.
Really impressive. So why don't you just give us an overview of the hackathon, the key details, tracks, and so forth?
100%. So the Hedera Africa Hackathon, the 2025, officially kicked off last Friday, and it's one of the most ambitious innovation programs we've ever launched on the continent or in the world. So in short, it's a hybrid hackathon focusing on Africa but open to everyone in the world. It was co-funded by the Hashgraph Association and the Exponential Science Foundation, and it is operated by Dar Blockchain. So the hackathon is aimed at onboarding more than 10,000 builders and generating more than 1,000 real-world blockchain and Hedera-based projects. So in terms of tracks, I'll keep it brief. So we have 4 tracks for builders to choose from. The first is DLT for operations, which focuses on applying Hedera's DLT on things like healthcare, agriculture, supply chain, and sustainability. The second is on-chain finance and financial inclusion, which focuses on DeFi, tokenization, and microfinance. And then the third one is AI and Deepen, which focuses on using AI, state-of-the-art technology on Hedera to build AI agents, infrastructure access, smart services, and smart cities all over Africa. And the last track is immersive worlds, where builders can build fun, immersive experiences on gaming, NFTs, or community governance. So what's at stake? It's a $1 million prize pool hackathon. We've announced the official breakdown of the prize pools last week with 160K for each track allocated for 5 winners per track. And then we have 5 big hackathon winners with 300K prize pool, and we have a 60K prize for one super impressive project. So who can join the hackathon, you might ask? So students, developers, entrepreneurs, creatives, no blockchain experience is needed, but you do need, before you submit your project, which will be at the end of September, you need to get the Hedera developer certification. So if you're certified on Hedera, you're eligible to start hacking and submit your projects. And you will find on our X or on our website, HederaHacks.com, you will find everything you need in terms of resources, in terms of the link for the certification, the Telegram, the Discord, the Dora Hacks, where you can register for the hackathon. So that's pretty much it in terms of a breakdown of what the hackathon is.
And we'll put a link down in the description, for that training if anybody wants to participate in that. And I did have some follow-on questions, but you did such a good job. You were covering them as you were going through your presentation there. So this just launched on August 1st. Of course, people can still join and participate. How did the launch go so far?
So the launch went amazingly well, actually. We've organized a community event on Friday, and I had to stop for 3 water breaks because I couldn't answer all the questions. Everyone was really excited, especially the African community. We've helped them in the awareness phase of the hackathon. We helped them set up meetups, local hackathons, and now they brought on hundreds of people from their communities who are really excited to promote and to encourage the growth of the African economy, the African Web3 ecosystem, which is really the point of this hackathon and the point of Hedera getting involved in Africa. Because as you know, Africa has one of the youngest demographics, people who are really hungry to get into this and to get hacking. And Africa also has the biggest adoption in terms of Web3, Hedera technology, or also like financial products like stablecoins and stuff like that. Because, I'm African myself. We live mostly in closed currency economies. So Web3 literally like unleashes our wings to get to the world and work with the world.
Well, that's one of the things that is the hope for, highly efficient DLT technologies like Hedera is unlocking the economic potential of literally billions of people around the world. One of the things about this hackathon that I really like, talking to one of your colleagues, Jafar, is most hackathons focus on innovation. And even though you are focusing on innovation, there's even more of a focus on making sure that the businesses that come out on the other side of this are viable businesses that can be sustainable. That means that not necessarily are these projects coming up with something new. It could be something that's on another chain. It could be an idea that has already been tried. But as long as it has a great user interface, it has the ability to become that sustainable company, that's exactly what you're looking for. And I love that concept. So as I mentioned, you have done a great job going through all the different facts for this hackathon. Is there anything else you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, so we really want to emphasize 2 things. So the first thing is that the focus truly is on the African continent, but this hackathon is running also online, it's open to everyone in the world. And it's also the biggest ever opportunity to get your project out there. And also what I wanted to mention is that this is not just open to students or people who are just coming up with new ideas. Established businesses, enterprises, startups who are already active in the African continent can participate to build new products, to scale their products. As you said, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything is out there. It's just a matter of executing on Hedera. And Hedera has the technology and the potential, the tools that you need to get your project out there. And we're really here to support you in everything. Like this hackathon, we will pass on like dozens of mentorship sessions, dozens of experts who are here to support you from the top companies in the world. Investment, like the price pool you will get if you win this hackathon, will be more than enough to set up your business, to get you out there to recruit. So this is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity for you, African or non-African, to build your projects and to get started on the Hedera ecosystem. And also that innovation is not just like creating something new. Innovation is being able to execute with new tools, with updated tools that we have on the Hedera ecosystem. And again, Hedera is perfectly equipped to host your projects and to scale your projects further. So
Well,
get hacking.
exactly. So for all the teams out there, all the developers out there, we'll go ahead and put the link to the hackathon down in the description so you can get started today. If you need any help, DAR Blockchain is there to give you whatever you need. Ishmael, thank you so much for hopping on today and giving
Thank
us the
you.
full rundown.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Hedera and the HBAR have been killing it on social media thanks to the always engaged Hedera community. So hats off to all the HBAR Barians out there. And the Hedera Foundation is getting in on it as well. This one has a lot of people getting excited. All the Hedera Foundation said was never underestimate. And there has been some criticism, people saying you don't want to fade this kind of stuff. Still, I wonder if it's just for fun or if there's some more catalysts coming. But let's be honest, Hedera always has some big stuff going on behind the scenes, and I'm sure it's no different right now. But it's not just HBAR Barians and the orgs. The broader crypto community is getting in on it as well, and Paul Barron is a great example of this. In recent weeks, he's highlighted the Robinhood and Kraken listings, HBAR being added to the Grayscale Smart Contract Index, HBAR being added to the Grayscale Smart Contract Index, and the US HBAR ETFs getting listed here in the United States, hopefully before too long. In another post, he goes on to showcase NVIDIA embedding Hedera tech into its chips via Equity Labs verifiable compute, Lloyd's Banking Group using Hedera funds as collateral through Archax, and additional massive enterprises inevitably joining the Hedera Council. So it doesn't look like the Hedera community is in a bubble anymore. The rest of the crypto community is realizing how special the Hedera technology and platform really are. Now I'm going to jump into the latest in Hedera up-only gaming with the World Calisthenics Organization and Top Flight Football, who absolutely nailed it. So to start, I'd like to talk a little bit about what up-only gaming is. It's something that was pioneered by Karate Combat. And what it allows you to do is, in the case of Karate Combat, you pick the fighters you think are going to win on the card. And if they win, you get more tokens. If you lose, you don't lose anything. And to be able to do that and make it sustainable, you can do it with sponsorships. You can build it into your tokenomics. There's a lot of ways to do that. But what Karate Combat found is it's a great way to engage your fan base. They've had over 100,000 up-only gamers in single events. So they've done a really good job with it, but they wanted to move beyond that. They created a layer 2 that's built on top of Hedera that's going to allow pretty much any league to do the same exact thing and engage with their fans in a completely new way. And I've done it personally. I became a huge fan, as many of you know, of Karate Combat because when I had that skin in the game and I participated in the Karate Combat events, it really made it some of the most exciting sporting events I've ever seen. And I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so we've had some Super Bowls lately, and I can still say that with confidence. But today we have 2 of the leagues that are going to be also building on Up Layer 2 to enhance their leagues with this up-only gaming phenomenon, this revolution. And we have today Richie. He's with Top Flight Football, and we also have Brandon with World Calisthenics Organization who are going to do this. So, guys, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for giving us your time, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited what you guys are doing, but I want to kind of lay a baseline of what you guys have built to this point. So let's just talk about the leagues you've built and the platforms that you're going to build from here on out. Brendan, we'll start with you. Tell us about World Calisthenics Organization.
So WCO started about 13 years ago after I sold my company I invented a fitness product many years ago, suspension training. You guys might have heard of it. It's the equivalent to TRX. It's a kind of like gymnastics rings, but I sold the company, and a couple of the guys, when I was doing one of my booths, came in and started doing calisthenics, and it took me right back to my junior high school days. So once I sold the company, I started, the focus was the educational side of it, because I come from a coaching and education background in fitness, but also the competitive side, right? Where I saw this as a sport where gymnastics has a lot of point deductions, a lot of perfections, a lot of band movements, a lot of things that you cannot do. And the freedom and creativity of street workout, freestyle calisthenics, I just saw this vision. And the first thing I thought was, it went back to my jujitsu roots of open tournaments, because it was a brand new sport that we were creating, right? So there weren't a lot of athletes, especially in weight classes. So we started it off as open tournaments for the first 2 years. And each tournament, I basically charged people to get into the tournament, and all that money went back to the winners with the overall goal of weight classes, world champion title events. And ever since then, since 2015, going into 2016, we've done nothing but one-on-one battles. It's like, this is one of those words, it's like gymnastics on crack. And I mean, it literally is. When you see what's going on, the entertainment side of the visual aspect of it is just beautiful. And then you start to, think about the educational side, the health benefits. And when you look at a sport, generally, there's going to be some type of activity: football, baseball, basketball. You have training, you have all types of workouts that you have to do. This is the purest form of fitness as a competition. It's quite breathtaking when you see what these men and women do, girls and boys also. I have 12-year-olds that are doing things that will blow your mind. And this is the beauty of it. It's like soccer, football, football. You start kids at 5 or 6 years old, and it gives them a healthy outlook on life, that competitive spirit, and it drives them to do better, right? So this is something that we have a massive demographic, and we're focused on health and fitness and the entertainment competitive aspect of it also.
Well, Brendan, one of the things that I loved about this, you can't participate in every, token sale, every INO that gets out there. And initially I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to participate in this. And then I saw some of your competitions, and it got me to go down and do a few pull-ups. And I realized that there's a few buckets with Up Only Gaming. There's, the bucket where it's a pure spectator sport. Karate Combat falls into that. And certainly Top Flight Football falls into that. I think that has a ton of potential. But yours has the aspect of the people that are participating in it can go out and do that health and fitness, those routines themselves. Maybe not the crazy stuff as far as the entertainment side, but they can get involved and get a lot more hands-on. And I think that has a ton of potential. But I think we should go over to the other side real quick. Richie, tell us about Top Flight Football and why you wanted to move in that direction.
Yeah, sure. But first of all, I'd like to say gymnastics on crack. Now, that is something I'd pay to see. That has potential.
Right.
But yeah, Top Flight Football, obviously known as soccer in the US. We celebrated our first birthday in May just gone. Top Flight is a football-based play-to-earn game. It'll be available on the web and mobile applications, and obviously being developed on Hedera Network and Karate Combat's Up Layer 2. The game will run on the Up Only gaming systems, which, as you've described, rewards players for the voting on the correct outcome of real-life football matches using our utility token Football, where with no bet end, no risk of loss. So if you pick the correct winner, you earn more football. If you pick wrong, you lose nothing. Exactly the same as we're running with the WCO.
So going with that, you already have an established fan base. You don't get, more passionate fans than what you see with the Premier League over there in the UK. Why did you decide to go in that direction?
Well, football's widely known as the world sport, and for good reason. It's estimated to have a following of 3.5 billion fans worldwide, and this eclipses the nearest competitor, cricket, in viewership by more than 1 billion fans. If you look at what are the most watched sporting events of all time, you'll find the number one spot by a large margin being the 2022 FIFA World Cup, followed in second by the 2012 opening ceremony of the Olympics in Beijing, and then again in third, you'll find football, which is the 2024 Champions League final. So given this information, it shows a huge market potential for football fans across the globe. I don't think it's difficult to see why football is the best choice to take SportFi to the next level. It's our mission to onboard as many of these billions of fans as possible to Hedera. Being from the UK as well, as you said, football is the lifeblood of our culture, and you'll find that same culture in countries all across the world. You're born, live, and die wearing the colours of your team. And as we mentioned, for big events such as the World Cup, the whole world stops and tunes in. When I first experienced up-only gaming, I was instantly hooked, and it brings all the thrill of betting whilst watching your favourite sport, but without the fear of losing this week's rent. In the UK, gambling's also a real problem. Addiction's rife, and many of my own friends will happily stay up till 3 a.m. watching Lithuanian women's third division netball just to have something to bet on. Betting causes people not just to lose their money, but their homes, their relationships, and more. Up-only Gaming provides a solution to this problem by offering a way for people to enjoy the same thrill, but without the consequences that come when the bets don't come off. Football makes up also approximately about 30% of the global sports betting market. In 2024, that was valued at $30 billion just for football, and it's expected to double by 2030. So our goal is to convert as much of this market as possible to up-only gaming, and we have a keen focus on onboarding users directly from Web 2. If we can capture even 1% of the current betting market, it would inject over $300 million a year into the Hedera ecosystem.
Absolutely incredible. And you already answered my next question, why you wanted to incorporate up-only gaming into your platform. But Brendan, what about you? Why did you want to go the route of up-only gaming?
When you start looking at gambling, as much as I love the adrenaline rush, I love going to Vegas. Don't get me wrong. I'll go play the slots. I'll go play blackjack and poker. But when it comes to gambling on sports, I try to stay away from it because I do understand that fandom, you can get in some trouble financially if you're really deep into it. When I discovered Karate Combat, it's like the gates of heaven opened, where I was able to see like, oh my God, these guys have created one of the biggest and fastest growing sports being mixed martial arts and martial arts, period. Combat sports. But the fact that you're able to purchase tokens, wager those tokens without saying betting, voting on who you think or predicting who you think is going to win a fight, and not having a loss if you don't choose the right fighter. That was mind-blowing to me. And that's only something that can be done on blockchain. It can't be done in the standard world. It can't be done normally. And once I saw this, innovation is part of every business. And if you're not innovating, you're going to fall behind. So 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I started building on chain. And I looked at a different chain previously, which was very difficult to understand, to get my athletes to understand. There was a lot of different things with the MetaMask wallet and very confusing to the layman. And when you're dealing with athletes, you cannot make things difficult. It has to be seamless. It has to be easy. The fans have got to make it easy and seamless also. Karate Combat Stack absolutely did that. And, for me, I would have loved to do betas, right? Like football did, like the actual A7s, I think it's called, UAB. But for me to throw basically a beta event, even if it's small, my cost is $50,000 to $60,000 just to throw a beta, because I have to fly athletes in from all over the world. I pay them. It's just like mixed martial arts, contractually, all that stuff. So as much as I wanted to, I couldn't do a beta. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be building Battle of the Bars on Up as our own app, not embedded into as a beta version. So, we're taking the time right now to really focus on what we're doing. Up only is hands down, this one application is hands down going to change sports and the era of sports and fan engagement. And it's crazy to think that a small brand like Karate Combat has come out with this when you have multi-billion-dollar brands that are struggling to think about what blockchain is. And that's the benefit to us. The small guys are able to pivot quickly, build quickly, and move quickly. The big guys, they can't do it. So we're here, just like Top Flight and Karate Combat as the leader of this, right? Karate Combat, you've got to give the kudos to these guys, Only LARPing and President Awesome, for what they've built, how they produced it, and how they've gone about, I would say, promoting it to the world, right? Where it's not confusing, it's very simple, and you can become one of those super fans without risking a loss. It's freaking mind-blowing, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I've really become passionate about everything that I'm seeing. And, you have the first leader that gets out there with karate combat, but it's important to have those followers to make sure that the concept gets out there and everything else. And I'm not going to act as if there's no risks involved at all. There are some risks, and I'll touch on a couple of those. And of course, we're not giving financial advice here. Make sure you understand your local laws and regulations. And, some of the risks involved certainly include you could buy the token and the token value could go down, even if you are getting additional tokens in the event. So there is a risk there. You have to deal with self-custody because these applications are going to be wallets. So you have to make sure you manage those keys effectively, things along those lines. But it is absolutely a revolution. And I do want to get into, you have to get those tokens out there someplace. And again, this isn't financial advice, but you guys both have something going on right now. And I wanted you to give you a chance to be able to talk about it a little bit. Richie, I'll start with you. You're doing an INO. Tell us about it.
Yes, we've been running our INO this weekend. We've been running our marketing campaigns for a while now, getting all our partners involved, and it's just been really great seeing the whole Hedera ecosystem and beyond coming together. Everyone wants to help out and raise you up together, one up, all up. There we go. I like that one. Yeah, on Saturday we launched our gold jersey sale, and that's run really, really smoothly. A lot of people have been taking those. Silver just closed a few hours ago of this recording, and now we're on to the final stage, which is our bronze jerseys. They're on sale for $75, and they entitle you to 450,000 football tokens allocation. If you get all three, then you get the Hat-Trick Hero, which is a really special piece of artwork. We've had our artwork designed by Jesse, also known as Jaderism, and he's an Emmy Award-winning digital artist. He's won an Emmy for his work on Star Wars Clone Wars, which I used to love as a kid. He's also worked on a lot of other big projects and had partnerships with Adidas and also. So he's an awesome artist. You get that NFT as well if you get the full set for free, which entitles you to a bonus allocation of football. And then we'll be launching, once that concludes, we'll be shortly launching on the Sorcerer Swap decks.
All right, good to hear. Brendan, tell us about yours.
A couple weeks ago, we've been doing some teaser leaks with our NFTs. We're basically doing a governor's NFT, right? Following the model of Karate Combat, but really bringing it to an exclusive group of people. 800 maximum NFTs, maximum governors, because that to me is something that's controllable, and I could have a relationship with each of these people. And then what we're doing is I had to make it different. So we have 3 different tiers. We have Diamond, Platinum, Gold, which are going to come with different token allocations. Diamond comes with 10.5 million Battle of the Bars tokens. The Platinum is 8.5 million. Gold, 6.5 million. We are going to have 100 billion total tokens, max supply. And we're going to come out with 14 billion of those. Half of that goes to our governors as they purchase the NFTs. The other half obviously goes out onto the market so people can buy them once we build up only, and they can get their Battle of the Bars tokens. But we had to do it a little bit different. Because I'm a California-based company, we have to look at everything that has to do with regulations, laws, and all of that fun stuff. Because I don't want to get caught, with my pants down doing anything wrong that's going to possibly harm the company. So in order to do ours, I cannot do a token airdrop. So what we're doing is, if you believe in the sport, if you believe in what we're doing, and you know where Web3 and sports is going on Hedera, my token's vested. So once you buy your NFT, we're doing, our test net will be coming out pretty soon. We're working on it with IvyFi. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your NFT, you're going to log in and connect your wallet to the IvyFi app. You're going to claim your tokens every month. So each month, based on what your NFT level is, log in, connect your wallet, claim your tokens every month, or you're also going to be able to claim, then stake, right? Because you're not going to be able to use your tokens right off the bat. You're going to have to wait for us to build on Up Only, which we're working on that HBAR Foundation grant to help us along with that. But it's really about getting tokens to people the proper way and making sure that we're taking care of the governors first. All other people that will come in and buy tokens, not financial advice. We can't say, just like you said, Brandon, is, the token could go up, the token could go down. But what I'm avoiding is, first, I don't have any VCs. I have no debt. And I do not want to come into this scenario where big whales I owe money to, and they're going to have to cash out. And unfortunately, that's what kind of hit karate combat quickly, which is not a problem because you have VCs that need their money back. But once that starts happening, you have to start looking at, the token value, and people sell. And I think the education side of it is very important for the fighters too, to understand that they shouldn't sell their tokens after they win. They should stack their tokens, put them in a savings account, look at how that's going to grow and support the ecosystem, right? I'm just one of those guys, and then I'll stop, is you're a fool if you're gonna buy something for 20 cents and you're gonna sell it at 22 cents. To make 2 cents profit, you're an absolute moron. Hold that, watch the value go up, watch it grow. Of course we want profit. Of course we want to take some money out. And this is a game of crypto and earning money. But you also got to be smart about it. Like, I see people dumping tokens at the 26 range and it goes down to 24. And I get it, but hold tight. HBAR is going to be something that is going to blow people's minds. And I guarantee that for the direct to consumer, I don't even like to call it the retail market because we're not retail. We're sports. Sports goes beyond markets. Sports is eternal. Sports is something that never ends. Sports is based on fans and those emotions. And when you got fans with emotions, they are diehard. So that's where we're at with our NFT and what we're doing. You can get it on Cabula right now on the launch pad right next to the top flight football NFTs. And the goal is being with people like yourself, Brandon, people like you, Richie, that understand what sports can bring to a network. I don't think the guys in the top upper echelons of Hedera have quite understood this yet, what we are bringing. But I think the more noise that we make, the more that we're going to catch their attention. And then the more they're going to look back on sports and go, this is something that we need to focus on.
Amen, brother. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on today and telling us all about what you're working on. I think you're both going to be really successful. And thanks for building on Hedera.
Let's go.
Next up, I have a couple updates in the Refi or regenerative finance space. First, Dovu announced their trust operating system that will make the creation of tokenized RWAs a cakewalk. They say the operating system provides end-to-end transparency, decentralized identity, verified credentials, and provenance to users. The other Guardian team that continues to execute is Noviqtech, who created a subsidiary called Quantum Intelligence to innovate in blockchain, quantum computing, and the AI spaces. Noviqtech is one of the public companies that has decided to add HBAR to its balance sheet. It's teams like this on top of the technical foundation that gives me so much confidence in Hedera. And hopefully in the weeks to come, I'll get Irfan from Dovu and Freddie from Noviqtech to give us an update. Next, I want to congratulate one of the Hedera builders out there. Legends of the Past had a really successful test. They had over 2.5 million games played in only a week. And right now they're working on sending out the rewards to the top 20% of players. They had on average 50 games played per day per player with well over 7,000 participants. I have to say, this is really impressive considering it was only available on testing apps like TestFlight. If we extrapolate this out to when they launch on the Google Play and App Store, things are looking really bright for Legends of the Past. So again, a huge congratulations to that team. And just this morning, I caught that there's a new incentive program on Crypto.com for HBAR holders. They're just calling it the HBAR App Campaign. They say you can get $10 in ETH. All you have to do is buy and or deposit HBAR and be in the top 2,000 participants. It started today and it's going to be running through August 20th. So at first I was thinking that they were looking at your entire portfolio, but down here in the notes it says the HBAR net gains equals the HBAR buys plus deposits of HBAR minus your sales of HBAR minus withdrawals of HBAR. So essentially all they're doing is looking at how much HBAR you have in your Crypto.com account. So I know we've been all over the place, and this next topic, we're going to take another hard left turn. We're going to get into the teams that have made the HBAR branded wine possible. Today, we welcome Giuseppe. He is a winemaker from Christopher Creek Winery. We also have the CEO of Cask Capital to talk about the expansion that Cask Capital is making outside of whiskey, where they started, to some other things as well. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
So to kick this off, Jeremy, I just want to remind the audience what Cask Capital is. Can you run us through the platform?
Yeah, sure. So Cask Capital started as a vision to make inaccessible assets, wooden cask age assets as we refer to them, accessible on a broader level. There's so much history going on in these types of oak where spirit is appreciating, but it's most of the time people don't know the history. They don't know, they can't access to it. So our goal, and that's how we started with Scotch Whiskey Cask, was to open up that industry, have people join this risk heritage and reap the benefit of it as well.
So I do want to dive into why you decided to make this shift from whiskey, where you started, into other things like wine.
So as you know already, like Scotch Whiskey Cask, when you buy a cask, a new made cask, it takes a very long time to appreciate. It's a beautiful product. There's so much chemistry going on in an oak barrel as it matures. But for us, it was always the goal to cover all types of cask age assets. And wine, of course, as a product being so easily accessible, like in a bottle, like a lot of people drink wine, people understand wine, people know on average so much more about wine than Scotch whiskey. And that makes it perfect sense for us to actually expand to fine wine. And we launched now with the fine wine bottle collection. And the next step would be to expand, of course, to the wine barrels.
And we've started with wine that was already in process, that was ready to be bottled. And it's from Christopher Creek Winery, which is an amazing winery. And Giuseppe, you're the winemaker there. Can you tell us a little bit about the winery and the 2 bottles that are available now on Cask Captital?
Yeah, thank you. So Christopher Creek Winery is one of the oldest winery of the Russian River, which is one of the most iconic AVA of Sonoma County. So AVA means American Viticulture Area, so a restricted area that has specific characteristic. In some point of view, we are the most similar to Burgundy in France. So not only about climate, of course, it's a little bit warmer. We make a little bit fuller body wine, but the variety are mainly the same, plus other examples. So we are really focused on Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, plus we have other variety exclusive of this area. Christopher Creek Winery is one of the oldest, was born in 1972, and then with another name was called Sotoyome, and owner of the Native American, but then was bought from family originally from north of Italy almost 15 years ago. And now we decide to be focused on our small production, more focused on direct to our customers. I mean, we have a very nice patio. We receive a lot of customers from all around the world. And as I said, we are really focused on Pinot Noir. We have different kind of Pinot Noir. We are really focused on single vineyards and a particular sub area of our property, and Chardonnay as well. That's the main characteristic. Then we can move to little details regarding the 2 wines. Let me tell you a few things about our Chardonnay, which is our estate Chardonnay. The vineyard is located in Hillsburg, in the heart of Russian River. It's a Chardonnay 2023, which was a cool vintage. So the ripening of the Chardonnay, even if it's an early ripening variety, arrives around the middle of September, which is a little bit unusual. So in this case, ripening in this situation makes the final wine a little bit more elegant because the grapes have a little bit more time to concentrate flavor in the skin. Against all the tradition of California, we decided to make an unhooked Chardonnay. So with the target to announce the characteristic inside the DNA of this amazing variety, which mainly can be described by exotic fruit like pineapple, banana, and the stone fruit in general, like peach, followed, and this is a characteristic exclusive that you can develop only in Russian River, talking about the entire Sonoma County, a very deep citrus note that add complexity is on the nose and then confirmed on the mouth and then in the aftertaste, which create a very crispness of this amazing wine. There is only aging in stainless steel. There is no touch of oak to no cover the first kind of flavor that comes from the alcoholic fermentation. There is no malolactic to keep this wine a little bit more crisp. The acidity is announced. The minerality is untouched by the malolactic. We try to arrive to the bottle as soon as possible. After a smooth fining, where we use just the physical aspect. We don't use any kind of chemical compounds. So we chill the wine, stabilize and proteic point of view and tartaric point of view. We just go to the bottle at cold temperature to preserve all the primary flavor, making this amazing wine that fit perfectly with all kind of seafood, not very complex dish, seafood, sushi, and light appetizer seafood base. So the red blend is a blend of a variety that we have, a red variety that we have around the winery in Hillsburg. Is a Petit Syrah, Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, a little touch of Pinot Noir. So those are all the variety that we have around the winery, because the Chardonnay, for example, is a little bit far. All variety give their a specific port and this complex wine. So because it's a blend, the complexity is the main target. So every single variety apport something. The Petit Syrah give the color and the fruity flavor. The Syrah give the body and the structure. The Cabernet Sauvignon apport this green side, which remind you the green pepper, bell, wet tomato leaves. At the end, the Pinot Noir give, even if it's in a small percentage, give this touch of spiciness, which at the end announce all the compounds together. Plus, of course, there is almost 14 months of oak aging, 30% new and the rest neutral, to add complexity on the nose of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and to smooth the tannins that, especially from the Cabernet Sauvignon, are a little bit more aggressive, so should need more time on aging. Of course, all the single variety are vinified separately because they have a different time of ripening. At the end, even the oak aging is separate. Just before the bottling, we create the final blend. We try different solutions, but usually, yes, we put just a little bit of I have the percentage. So we have usually 30% of Petit Syrah, 30% of Syrah, 30% of Cabernet Sauvignon, a little touch, 10% of Pinot Noir to close the profile, especially on the nose.
And now I'll be honest, I normally drink white wines. I like Chardonnays, but this red that you sent and let me taste was fantastic. It was amazing. This red blend is really excellent. I know that this is why we got involved with it. Joe from Earthlings actually went and he did a tour in your area, and your winery pretty much knocked him off his feet. He was really impressed, and he wanted to get involved with Cask Capital here. So, Jeremy, the next stage here, if this first batch goes well, and they're going to be able to be shipped here pretty soon, you can buy them on Cask Capital right now, is to kind of fit more of the Cask Capital vision of going through the entire process, going from vine to actually putting it in the casks to bottling. From what I've heard, it's about an 18-month process. You're thinking about doing it with Pinot Noir and an oaked Chardonnay. Why do you like this idea of taking it through the entire process and, tokenizing that, and how can people follow along with that process?
Well, first of all, the beauty of this proposition with the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir is that indeed we can basically document it and even track it fully on chain from the beginning if we'd like to. So to be able to share this process, educate people as well, because education is also a major part of Cask Capital, is first, of course, we want to provide access, open up these niche industries, but educating is a crucial element that comes along as well. So for us, opening these two, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. If I look at in my personal network, like friends and family who drink wine, it's usually the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir. So it's definitely the most known wines there are in the industry, and to actually have people be able to join that journey from the beginning, from the grape to the bottle, and actually be able to get the bottle shipped to their house and enjoy it, with friends and family. That's like, would be amazing.
So, Giuseppe, can you walk us through what that process looks like? I was talking to one of your colleagues. It sounds like these grapes are going to be ready in the fall. And then, of course, you're going to have to go through the entire winemaking process. It's going to have to go into the casks. What's that process look like, and how long do you expect that to take?
Okay, so our Pinot Noir usually reach the perfect ripening in the middle of September. I'm talking about the technologic ripening, which is the accumulation of sugar and the decreasing of acidity. Then, after you reach these, because of the DNA of this amazing variety, you have to wait at least 10 more days for the phenolic ripening, which influence some flavor and the color as well. Then we pick the grape in the coolest moment of the day, especially in the early morning, by hand. And then we destem and crush immediately. Of course, it's very easy because we are very close to the winery. I do 50% of immediate fermentation, inoculating some selected yeast, and 50% I prefer to do a cold soak in a cold temperature using dry ice. So this one will announce more the aromatic aspect. The other fermentation that start immediately will announce more the structure and the body of the Pinot. So at the end, of course, we will put together to reach the complexity of the final wine. So once the alcoholic fermentation start, we mix the solid part with a technique called the punch down by hand. We usually do 3 punch down per days to aerate the mast, which in this case, of course, is a liquid, solid, and so seeds, skins, and mast, and sometimes even more than 3 times. Of course, sometimes the temperature reach higher temperature, so we still keep going, adding some dry ice because we want to do a very smooth, even longer alcoholic fermentation with maceration. Once the fermentation is done, where the yeast transform all the sugar in alcohol, we keep going to do a few more days of punch down to extract a little bit more, which is essential when your project include you're going to move to the barrel. So then once the fermentation and the process is over, we move the wine, in this case with the skins and seed, into the press. So we press everything, obtaining a wine that goes straight to the barrel. This because then we are going to do the operation called batonnage. So every 2 or 3 weeks, especially during the malolactic fermentation, which is going to take place into the barrel, specific tools, we do this batonnage, which creates some mixing of the yeast that is going to move to the bottom of the barrel. This technique will announce the structure, the creaminess, even the nose of the final product. So then after the malolactic, we reduce the amount of batonnage. We can do even 1 per month. This until when it's time to move out from the barrel, we want to create the final blend. And then, of course, we fine again only with cold temperature, so without any chemical compounds. And then we move to the bottle as soon as possible to preserve the primary flavor, in this case, of this wine with this oak aging.
It's an incredible process, and maybe we'll get into the Chardonnay at another time. But for now, I want to go on to Jeremy here. Jeremy, why does it make sense to tokenize these wines and go through this process? What we're seeing with Cask Capital.
So the reason for tokenizing these it makes sense in that aspect is that you can actually start putting and tracking also the data that you're generating on chain. So as we've done with our whiskey cask as an example, for us it's very important to be transparent with the data that we have. When we put a cask online on our marketplace, we want to know what year it was basically poured in a barrel, what the alcohol percentage was, especially with whiskey, when you have to regauge it, you have to know what amount percentage alcohol there's still left in the barrel, because as it matures, the alcohol evaporates, it gets, it becomes less strong, the barrel itself. So in that aspect, we want to put as much data and on chain in the metadata, of course, of the NFT, and share that knowledge, share that data, make it accessible as well. Have people, the option to read into it if they want to dive into the details of these specific barrels that we're going to tokenize.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun process to watch. Again, these wines, the first batch are available right now on Cask Capital. You can go on and get them today. I'm looking forward to going through the entire process from vine, as we mentioned, to cask to finally bottling. It's going to be a blast to watch how that all unfolds. And of course, we're going to try to get as much information about the wines out as we can. But guys, thank you so much for hopping on here today. Giuseppe, thank you for explaining the wines and the winery. And Jeremy, thank you so much for hopping on and explaining Cask Capital.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
With the short week this week, I'm not going to do network analysis, but I am going to take a look at the crypto market. Bitcoin is up since last Friday, just over 1% to $115,400. After a 3% bump over the past 24 hours, HBAR is perfectly flat since the last show at 24.8 cents. We failed to make a higher low like I was hoping for last week, but we remained in a range between 22 and 30 cents. 30 cents really seems like the number we need to take out if we want to take another leg higher. I will say that crypto seems more resilient than normal than other risk assets like stocks, and after last week's poor employment report, it appears as if a rate cut from the Federal Reserve is on the table for September, which could be a good scenario for the crypto complex. Looking forward to next week. I am going to try to get some content while I'm at Rare Evo, and if I do get any interviews, of course, I'll post those in the shows next week. I'm also going to get an India and Stefan on to do a full run-through of their strategy at the Hashgraph group around what they're doing in India, and from what I've heard, it's pretty impressive, so I'm looking forward to that one. We are going to get Rob back for Shark Bites. He was a little bit busy this week with Project Arcasia, but next week we're going to get him back, so if you have any questions, go ahead and drop those down in the comments. You also might have seen on X that I'm animating the Bulbarian. So if you have any Bulbarian NFTs and you want me to do it with your character, go ahead and reach out to me either in the HBAR Bull world on X or in Telegram, and I'll get that knocked out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.